repairing a Kawai digital piano which makes this clicking noise. So you can hear the other keys don't make such a noise. But this one does. It's very annoying. Unfortunately, I did not film the disassembly of the piano, but I might film the assembly, so you can do it in reverse order. But here's how to repair that. When I look at the screw from the top thingy that is connected or touching the key, it is decentered. However, I looked at the other screws too, and many of them are decentered, but you can also see some wear and some damage to this felt thingy that the screw is dampened by. So let's take the key out. You can just lift it above this pin carefully, and it comes out, and there is, let's take a look at it here, and there is this felt thingy that's completely worn and damaged, and you can see that the tape is not does not stick above the place where the screw is touching it. And when I touch it, it's sticky. And the stickiness is what creates the sound, I guess. The screw sticks and unsticks and thereby destroys the felt dampener, and the stickiness creates the sound. So what can we do about it? So I figured that, as in many cases, when repairing stuff, either duct tape or WD-40 will do. And in that case, I turned to some regular duct tape and cut it into a nice piece. And I will just simply cover this completely with duct tape and try if it's better. The main thing is just that this must hold in place. It should not come undone over time. That's the only thing I'm worried about. I don't want to disassemble this thing again. It's quite annoying and a lot of work. Maybe I'll show you the assembly video then afterwards. Alright, this looks nice. Let's try it out. Okay, so now we'll try to get this thing back in again. I'll lift this hammer up, place it over the pin. There it is. And let's try. Sounds nice. Perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just take a look at all the keys, because I don't want to do this again at some later point. So once I'm here already, I will now lift all the keys up. They have numbers on them, so you don't get confused when assembling them back again. So this should work nicely. And I will just vacuum everything and take a look at all the felt thingies, whether they're okay or not, and maybe cover them with some duct tape if necessary, and then assemble it back again. Alright, so now that all the keys are out, there will be some vacuuming to do. There are some Christmas tree needles and other stuff in here, so I guess that's a good idea. I also noticed that there were these paper rings that are around some of the pins, some of the key pins, and some don't have them. Not quite sure why. I'm gonna just go ahead and just put back those that I can find. but I guess not all the keys have them. Don't know. Well, okay. I think that's gonna be all right. So let's do some vacuuming. Okay, that looks a lot better now. There was a lot of dust and stuff, especially around the middle where the most commonly played keys are. I went around all that, and now let's start assembling it back again. Okay, what I'm gonna do now is just check every key when I'm putting it back in, and check all the felt tabs, and just clean it up a little bit, and then put it back in. Now, wherever I can sense some stickiness, and I do, or I see a decentered tape above the sticky surface of the felt, and I see that the screw is also touching this, I will be placing duct tape around it. When you place the duct tape on there, make sure to not do it too tightly so the dampening doesn't lose its function. If you tighten it too much, then this will just become a flat, hard surface, and I think that's not good. Also, many of the felt sides are sticky, so I guess it's just some kind of production failure, maybe. So another hint, this is the stable position of the front cover. In the last couple cuts you saw it a bit more slightly lifted upwards, but that's not good. It can fall down, so just slowly and easily just let it get it a bit lower in this position. And the weights or hammers, they have this little thingy back there. You just put them in, and from the other side you can use your fingers or some tool to just snap them in place at this guiding rail up there, and then you can put the key in. And in case you're wondering why this happens, awful sound and key gets stuck, it's just because of the lid. So when you lift it, everything works nicely, so don't worry. So the key are back in place. I had a friend help me by just pushing each of the hammer weight thingies into position just right before I went back with the key, before I put the key back in, because if you do it by yourself, it's just very much work and my back really hurt. So I recommend that you do search for somebody to help you, to assist you with that. It's just a lot easier and faster. Okay, now let's do the reassembly. So first we'll screw this thing here back into place. That looks okay. Next we'll put this front screen back in place. So it's screwed on this side here, and it's got two screws here in the middle, and it's got two screws here. Notice that on this side I unscrewed it right from the plate. On the other side I unscrewed the plate from the side cover, but I think that's pretty much the same. I'll tighten that now. So these screws are really hard to reach in the corners, so I recommend you use all the tools you have and do your best. One screw I could not quite tighten all the way to the end because I think I would ruin the screw head, so I left it like that, and that's okay. And in the middle there is this gap, and it's filled with this wooden thingy, this placeholder, which you have just fit in there and then tighten the screws. Note that the screws pass this wooden thing and go right into the front cover. And these are really a pain to screw back in because you have very little room to operate here. If you have any kind of flexible screwdriver extension, that's the time to use it. I don't have it. So if you have one, take it. So this is all tight. Next thing is the lid. We're just gonna turn it around. Oh, we have to check that it's in the. Oh yeah. So the lid can also be removed completely if you just bring it into an oblique position, so that those little holders give way and you can just lift it out. Then I just don't have a third hand available to show that. So once you put the lid back into place, which is quite easy, I think, there are these cogwheels that hold it in place, and there's also a screw that holds the cogwheel in place. I just don't see it now, just a second. Okay, so you have to bring the screw in line with the slit, so you can put the screw back in there, the little one. This is valid for both sides. Here you have to put the cogwheel in position first and then secure it with a screw, which is what I'm gonna do now. Okay, before we screw the lid back into place, I would give this thing a try. So I put it into the outlet, and let's just see whether this thing works. And then we'll screw the lid back in and the back cover. So this looks good. Good. The lid is placed on top and then pulled back into position towards me. So these little holders come into place where the screws go. And there is also, you just can't see it now, but there in the back there is a holder on both sides that will go below another screw holder. You can see it a little bit in the back there. Well, anyway, just pull it back towards you and then screw it back there on both sides, and then you're good. If the lid seems loud when you're opening and closing it, then you should adjust the position of the cogwheels. I did that right now because it was quite loud, and now it's better. Just try it out a little bit before you close the lid. And the screws are now back in place, and we're gonna reconnect the speaker connectors here, and then close the back cover. So in my case, I also used the wrong hole. You can see that there are two holes, and I used the inner one for the screw, and that's wrong, of course, because the cogwheel will then be displaced to the middle. So I fixed that, and now we're gonna close the lid. The back cover is held in place by 11 screws that you just have to screw back in. And it's easier if you have somebody holding the back cover for you, because you have to hold it up in the beginning. But maybe you can manage yourself. It's easier when you're not alone. And when you screw all those screws back in, then the piano is done. It's fixed, and you can have fun again playing. If you like the video, leave a comment, and if you have questions, feel free to ask. And just one last update. I do have the impression that the keys are much easier to play after this general cleanup and inspection, so I think it was worth the time. Alright, good luck to you and have fun.